Hi everybody, it's Katie back with another episode of my vlog. And today I thought I would talk a little bit about what unschooling in coronavirus isolation is looking like for us. We are on day 46 of our lockdown at this point. And like I've said in a previous vlog, a lot of what our Unschool was about was going out in the world and doing stuff together and learning from those experiences and talking about things based on those experiences, and just using other places as a jumping off point for learning about other things. And so, of course, in the lockdown isolation situation, we haven't been going anywhere. The only place that my kids have gone in literally 46 days is dog walks and to the grocery store. So Henry goes with me, but the other two stay home. So we've really been just staying here on our property, as one does. And that's totally changed what our Unschool looks like. We had to stop going to Trackers, which was the kids' outdoor school. We had to stop going to the science museum. We had to stop going to meetups at the community center, libraries, parks, bookstores, you name it. There was all kinds of places that we used to go to and spend a lot of time at, which of course we can't go to anymore. So what have we been doing in our isolation Unschool? In the meantime, we have been doing a lot of reading, as one does. My kids do a lot of reading even when they're not in isolation. One of the jokes in the homeschool community here in Portland, at least, and I'm sure at large, is that we're constantly having to tell our kids to stop reading because they're always with their nose in a book. And it's like, God, put the book down. We got to go somewhere. So since there's nowhere to go right now, there's definitely been extra reading going on. The kids are reading both chapter books and comic books. And it seems like they always have their nose in a book. So that's awesome. And there's, always something else to read. That's the cool thing about reading. One of the other things we've been doing is exploring nature in our own backyard and on our dog walks. James in particular has really been looking for some kind of substitute for the Trackers experience. And so we've been doing a lot of plant identification, insect identification, talking about the plant life cycle as we're watching everything come, into bloom here in springtime. We walk around, we collect flowers that we see, not anyone's nice flowers from their yard, but little wildflowers or whatever. Or we'll pull like one leaf off of a tree if we don't know what the tree is, so we can bring it home and use either our reference books or the internet, obviously, to help with plant identification. And that's been super interesting. Another thing that Jimmy actually taught me that they do at Trackers is this thing called a sit spot, where you go out into nature and you just sit down and chill out and don't move and don't make a sound and observe. And of course, the longer you sit there quietly, the more animals who would normally be freaked out by your presence will actually come close to you. So it's been kind of cool. We've been hanging out in the yard and just sitting still and watching a lot of squirrel action, watching a lot of birds. We have a lot of birds in the neighborhood and a lot of crows in our neighborhood, which is really fun. We do feed our crows peanuts because we want to encourage them to come around our yard because we love crows. So it's been really cool to kind of do these little mini nature observing situations, I guess. With James, we also went on a nature photography safari the other day where we walked around with our cameras and took pictures of a bunch of different cool things in our yard and on a dog walk. So that's been really fun. Another thing, if you follow any of my other social media accounts, you will know that I just got a new sewing machine earlier. Well, I guess it was the end of last week when I got it. I have had it for less than a week now. I'm in love with this thing. And getting the new sewing machine, unpacking the new sewing machine, learning how to use the new sewing machine has been obviously a learning experience for me, but James has been right next to me the whole time. He's very interested. So we got to have a lot of conversations about how does the sewing machine work. That one's fascinating. Look it up. Find that infamous GIF that shows you what goes on inside a sewing machine if you don't actually understand how it does what it does. One of the other things that we talked about was the history of the development of the technology. Jimmy's always kind of surprised when we talk about old tech, or like old timey times that have higher tech than he's expecting to see, which actually kind of started through Cinema Club and, watching these really old setting movies, and then the people will have guns in them, and he'll be like, wait a minute, when were guns invented? And I'm like, oh, those are way older than you think they are. So we talked a little bit about some old tech that I love that all actually was developed around the same time, which is early 19th century, and that is the sewing machine, the camera, and the bicycle, all kind of hail from the same time period, which is pretty interesting. And of course, just me buying a new sewing machine was kind of the jumping off point for all of that conversation, which is, always interesting. James also wants to learn how to sew on the sewing machine. He already knows how to hand sew, and I'm actually going to teach him how to use the machine in a couple of days. But what we have had are some cool conversations about what the machine is doing versus what you can do with your hand sewing, and how all of the construction techniques are the same. It's just that you can go faster with the machine and, have more even machine controlled stitches. The other cool art thing that the kids have been getting into is their new club that Henry and James have is called Clay Every Day. They're playing with polymer clay, like Fimo oven baked clay, and making all different kinds of things. James actually just made this cool wolf's head guy today. He asked me to tell you guys this isn't done. It's going to be painted. And Henry's been turning out some really cool stuff, but he's kind of a private artist. He doesn't always like to show his stuff on camera. So they've been having a ton of fun with clay, doing all different types of things with surface treatments or different ways of building. And then, like I said, they've gotten into this thing where they're painting the finished pieces, and they're really, really cool. So that's been totally fun to watch them do, which they do right alongside me where I work in the studio. So it's we've been jockeying for space a little bit, but it's also been really fun. We have also been, Henry has also been trying out new recipes. I'm sure a lot of people have been trying new recipes in lockdown. We haven't been eating very much food that didn't come from our house. We can get delivery or takeout maybe once a week at this point. So we are cooking more than we normally do. And that's led Henry to want to try even more different things. So we had in the last week, he did red beans and rice with sausage the other night. Fantastic. A week ago, I had heard about this rumor about eating chili with cinnamon rolls. Have you guys heard of this? I heard about it online. I was like, what? No way. We had to do it. It's fantastic. You guys got to try it. Henry made his awesome chili. We just got like the Pillsbury, can of cinnamon rolls because that's easier, and we were going to be eating it with chili. It was amazing. Put the frosting on the cinnamon rolls, then dip the whole thing in your chili. Trust me, it's incredible. He's also been trying different desserts. He came up with a cake the other day that was a chocolate layer cake with a peanut butter filling and then cream cheese frosting. Oh my God, it was amazing. So that's been awesome. And that's always kind of the Unschool thing. He got a traditional cast iron Dutch oven from his grandpa for his birthday. And so he's been playing around with figuring out how to bake in the Dutch oven in the campfire. That's like the next thing that he wants to totally sort out. And I'm super excited to play along with that and learn alongside him and get to eat some of whatever this yummy thing is that he's going to be making. So that's another thing we've been doing in our Unschool. Let's see what else. Teenager has been learning Spanish via Duolingo and is very motivated. They have a online friend down in Mexico who they play games with all the time, and they've been totally inspired to start learning Spanish. So that's been going on. I grew up in Berkeley, California, where everything is bilingual. And I took 2 years of Spanish in junior high. So I'm pretty good at reading Spanish. I cannot hear or speak it very well, but I know my words. But it's been fun watching Teenager do their thing and do it just totally on their own. They, as usual, don't really want to have much to do with me because I'm not cool. But I get it. And I love that they're learning Spanish. This is totally awesome. And then, of course, the other thing that we do in our homeschool Unschool is we talk about everything that is current events and what's going on, what's in the news, what's happening. So a lot of our conversations recently have been about global pandemics, government response to global pandemics, economic fallout of the global pandemic. What is this going to mean for the election coming up in November, which led into a whole civics thing that we wound up talking about the other day. So, it's all connected, and we're all about providing our kids with as much information as possible so that they can know what's going on in the world and, be informed citizens, just like an adult, even though they have a child's perspective. So that I'm sure there's a million other things that I'm forgetting, because that's the way unschooling works, is this just kind of learning throughout the day continuously. Oh, of course, the other thing they've been doing is helping me in the shop. Thank you to everyone who's been placing orders at goblincomegamall.com. We are filling orders still, even though we're in lockdown. It takes us a little bit longer to get your order out the door than it normally would, because it's just me filling the orders. But then the kids do help me. They make buttons. They have learned how to run the printers so they can print out posters. We put them to work. You saw them on the time-lapse video helping with acid vomit fulfillment, but also with labeling and putting postage onto people's orders going out. They are my heavy lifters when the mailman gets here and there's a huge stack of boxes that have either board games or books in them, which are really heavy. They haul it all out to the mailman's truck. So they're intimately involved with everything that's going on with the business in terms of the day-to-day operation. But then I also have been including them in the economic side of things. And how are we going to, get through this weird time for our business where we don't have employees and we have a lower number of orders than we normally would. So I've included them in conversations about applying for the EIDL or the PPP loans through the Small Business Administration, or how does someone get unemployment insurance and stuff like that. So again, all connected, all part of just what you need to know for life. And so that's what I say teach them. It's not really me teaching. It's just kind of us digging in and really researching or trying to find threads that connect between different things, or just asking a question and satisfying your curiosity. The other day, one of us asked, how many of those Pepperidge Farm cheddar cheese goldfish do you think they make in a year? And we looked it up, and I'm sorry, guys, I can't remember the number right now, but it's a real stunner. If you look it up, it's a very large number. I think we boiled it down to like 4,000 fish per second if the factories are running 24/7. Oof, don't quote me on that though. Jake Kelly, correct me if I'm wrong, because you like to do that. All right, guys, that is it for my Unschool in Isolation update. I hope you are all staying sane. Let me know what you guys are doing. Those of you that have kids, what is your school at home, school in isolation at home situation looking like these days? Have you jumped into any interesting projects? Is anyone starting a garden? I keep wanting to do that, but I know I'm already maxed out and I can't really add another thing. But man, it's time if you're going to do it. In fact, I think it's late. Anyhow, let me know what you guys are doing. How's it going with your quarantine, with your homeschooling, and whatever else. I will be back in 3 days. I'm going to Friday for my other weekly upload. I'm going to give you guys the tutorial for how to do that shibori pattern right there, my favorite one, the spider web. So tune back in on Friday for that episode of my vlog. Until then, take care.